Welcome back to another episode of the How I Quit Alcohol podcast. For first-time listeners, please be aware that not all of the conversations within this podcast are suitable for children. I'd also like to add a trigger warning that sometimes the conversations can get a little heavy. We may talk about things like sexual abuse, domestic violence, drug use, and alcohol use. And if you feel that that may trigger you, please do not tune in. Also, I'd like to add, if you are a heavy daily drinker, please seek the help of a medical practitioner before quitting alcohol. This podcast comes to you from beautiful Bundjalung country. Please kick back and enjoy, grab yourself your favourite alcohol-free bevy, and if you haven't already, do a gal a favour, please subscribe, rate and review this podcast. Welcome back to the How I Quit Alcohol podcast. Today, I'm just sending out a little mini episode just from me, just to check in and to talk about creating the life that you want for 2024. I can't believe it's 2024 coming up, and it's mine and Ash's 6-year soberversary coming up on New Year's Day this year, and I cannot believe it. I cannot believe, firstly, that we're 6 years without alcohol. When we first started, I didn't think I could do 6 weeks without alcohol. I've learned so much about myself, about alcohol, about my patterns, about my behaviours. It's just been such an amazing and wonderful and beautiful journey. Not always easy, but it's been a great journey. And I can't believe how far I've come in that time. And I'm really, really proud of myself and where I've come and just doing things I never would have dreamed of doing. And it's just been absolutely awesome. It's been life-changing. You can change your life so much that you almost don't recognize it. When I look back, I think, wow, I never could have imagined I could feel this way. And what I mean is the connection to myself and the things I've learned about myself. And that is the most life-changing part of all of this. And I think this year is one about creating the life that you want. So I wanted to talk about some of the things I work on with people that I'm coaching or doing some counselling work with, and one that I do for myself. Some of these questions I ask myself on a daily basis, but for some people, I think it's a great time to reflect on the life that you want to create for yourself. And so whether you're not sober or you're starting sobriety, or whether you've been sober for years, months, weeks, doesn't matter. But it's really important to know where we're going. And I think that's one thing that really kept me going in the start of my sobriety. At the start of my sobriety and start of my year off, I didn't have a coach. I didn't have a course. There was really not even any podcasts that I could find. And I just had to sort of make it up as I was going along. But one thing I did know was this, that I knew the version of myself I wanted to become. It wasn't even close to where this person that I am now. It was a much, much more diluted version of where I am now. It wasn't even that outlandish. It was just to be happy and healthy and like myself. That was one of the things I wanted to like myself. It wasn't even so audacious as to think I would love myself, but I wanted to stop hating myself, and because I knew that that was affecting me so much. So I imagined myself as this person who I wanted to become. And it was a big difference from where my life was to where it was that I was going. And at the time, so as I say, I didn't have a coach, but I was listening to and reading a lot of Tony Robbins books at the time. And some people hear that name and go, ugh, but really he is the master of all coaches, even though I've sort of swayed from that style, I guess, over my time. But I still, you must pay homage to those that have got you to where you are. And a lot of his stuff on mindset was absolutely incredible and really got me out of the funk that I was in. Trying to remember the name of the book that I read. I think it was called Awaken the Power Within, or The Giant Within. I'll look that up. And it was a great book. And I did a lot of the work in that book too. So a lot of that stuff about visualization and your values and thinking about where you want to go. So one really good thing to think about is, where do I want to go? Who do I want to become? Where is my life right now? So here's some journaling exercises for you guys. And like I said, I actually do this journaling prompt most days, if not every day. Where is my life right now? How do I want it to look at the end of the day? For you guys now, it might be, where is my life now? How do I want it to look this time next year? How do I want it to look 3 years from now, perhaps 5 years from now. So writing that down, where is my life now and where do I want it to go? Because if we don't know where we're going, how do we know how we're going to get there? I'm not reinventing the wheel here. Most coaches do this kind of work with people or counsellors. So where is my life now? Where do I want it to go? Where do I want my life to be? And even thinking, where do I want it to be in a year's time? So writing that one down. What's really important too is to almost take like a bit of inventory of life. I think this is really important. And to ask, what's not working for me? So what is not working for me in life right now? And sometimes I break it down into my spiritual life, my relationships, my work life, my physical health. It's really great to break it down into those 4 things. Or you might just write a list of all the things where life's not working for you, whether it's our relationship or relationships. It might be with our health, work, and again, my spiritual life. Where is life not working for me? Where is the blockages? Where is stress showing up? What's causing stress in my life? Then the next one, so number 3 would be, what would it take for me to change these things? Now, these are some pretty hefty lists, and I'll show you how to break it down as well after this. But what would it take to change these areas of my life that I'm not happy with? So if it's drinking, if I'm drinking too much and that's causing blockages in my life, okay, what will it take for me to stop? And you have to get serious here too. It might be changing my relationships. It might be changing the way I drive home from work, changing my routine, changing my input, recognizing where there's stress. Okay, so breaking everything down so you can see it. And it's really helpful to actually take the time and write this stuff down. It really, really helps. What if it's with work, say? Okay, I'm not happy in my job. Okay, what would it take to change? It might look like doing some courses. It might look like re-educating yourself. And then thinking about, okay, how can I make that work? Because let's face it, there's not a lot of time. So it's really about taking this into your own hands too and figuring out, okay, what would I need to do? How can I make it possible? How could I break it down into such small chunks that I can do this? So at the moment I'm doing a course. I'm always doing a course. But I'm so time poor as it is. So I do try and chunk my days into, this is the day I'm going to work on my course, even if I do 10 minutes a day. So I dedicate that time to myself to do. So how would I make this work? So the course that I'm currently doing, it might be a course that someone could knock over in 6 months full time. For me, it might look 3 years. It might be 3 years part time. So not putting too much pressure on yourself. What will it take for me to get where I want to go? And then the next great question as well is, are you willing to do what it takes? Are you actually willing to do the work it's going to take to get you to where you want to go? So an example, you've heard me talk about this with Ash a lot, where he was thinking about his own music career when he was thinking about his sobriety, and that was one of the things he wanted to work on. And so for him, that looked like doing guitar scales every single day, or doing vocal warm-ups and the vocal scales every day to work on his craft. And it was breaking down to, it might have just been 10 minutes a day, but he made that one of his musts. So what am I willing to do? And you have to be realistic. So if you're someone that probably can't do an hour towards something every day because you're too time poor, okay, well, how can I change that? Am I willing to do what needs to be done? And then another question, ask, what would be the blockages? What are the roadblocks that would stop me? So these are great questions to ask. So going back again, where is my life now? Where do I want it to be? What's not working for me? What will it take? Am I willing? And then, of course, what would be any of the blockages? And then once you start to see this stuff down in paper, you're starting to get a really great plan for yourself. And then I would also say, once you start seeing the plan and seeing what you might be able to do, start thinking about actionable steps. Okay, what would be something I would need to do, just like I said about with Ash, what he did for the music? What would be some actionable steps? What do I need to do every day? What's one step I could take every day to get me to where I want to go? Just one step. So again, if that's about sobriety, what's one step? What's one thing that I need to do? Well, I guess that could be just don't drink. That's my step. For today, I'm not drinking. I will not drink. And then you've got all your other steps in, other actionable steps around that. What would it take going back there? Okay, it might take going out for a walk when I get home. It might be phoning a friend. It might be seeking out a counsellor or a coach, or finding an AA group, or whatever it takes to get you there. And again, what would it take? Well, am I willing to do anything to get me to where I want to be, to make my life better? And it's also a great time to think, if I don't change, whether it's alcohol, whether it's an unhealthy relationship, whether it's an unhealthy work environment, if I don't change, what is life going to look like in a year's time? What's it going to look like in 3 years' time or 5 years' time? If I don't change now, what's it going to look like? Whoa, and that is a big question. And when we start to ask ourselves those kind of questions, we start to see, okay, something has to change here. So what am I willing to do? What can I do to change? And then lastly, I would say visualize. So visualize where you want to be. Every day, especially early on in my sobriety, I still use this same tactic now too, is whenever I'm wanting to, I hate the word manifest, but whenever I want to manifest something in my life, or I want to create something, or I want to change, I get a very strong visual of where I want to be and how that would look, how that would feel, or whether it's closing your eyes down, whether you do it in meditation, or whether you're just kind of getting that visual for yourself, but really feeling like what that would feel like. What would it feel like if I achieved all this stuff that I'm writing down now? And feel that feeling in your body. I know that can sound a bit woo-woo, but it's absolutely incredible. If you visualize something and keep that vision strong in your mind, you're much more likely to get there. It's really amazing. So visualizing, see it, feel it, write about it, journal about it, write about it every day if you have to. I tell you one thing, change is very hard because our subconscious wants to keep us where it's comfortable. So we actually have to make a lot of effort. You can't just think, I want to change, and then think it's miraculously going to happen. No, you have to do a lot of work. You have to, especially at the start, and especially in the first few months, that's when we've really got to apply ourselves, because our little subconscious mind will do anything to get us back to where we were, where it's comfortable, and think that's such a well-worn path. So we have to apply ourselves and fight against that resistance that we'll feel. And that resistance can feel like procrastination. The inner critic starts to arc up. You can't change. You can't do this. You're not good enough for this. You start to notice all those things that show up and notice, oh, that's just resistance showing up. And that's a great sign, because it means change is happening. So the more resistance you feel sometimes, dig into that and thank it. Brilliant. Okay, that's showing up. Good. It must be changing. And push on through. And look, sometimes we go to take 10 steps forward and we take a few back. And that's okay too, just don't let that sway you. Just keep on trucking. Keep trucking, keep visualizing, keep thinking about where you want to be. And I promise you, life will look very, very different. Just have that place in mind. So think, we want to know where we're going, and you have to know where you're going. If you want to get anywhere, it's about, okay, where do I want to go? And so again, just going back to that question, where is my life now and where do I want it to be? And this is how you create the life that you want for yourself. This is where you take life into your own hands and start creating the life that you want. And I tell you, you do this stuff, you get into your journaling practices, and that's journaling this kind of stuff. Like my journals every day, pages and pages of all sorts of things. But yeah, every day I think, where am I right now, this morning? How do I want my day to look at the end of today? Always journaling, because it slows things down. It helps you see where you want to go. We're not just like a boat just kind of with no rudder. We're not just blowing in the wind. We're actually steering ourselves in the right direction. And I really believe that's what you need to do for change. So I hope this helps. Oh, and the other thing I'd say is too, gratitude. Having a gratitude practice in amongst all this will change everything. When you start to look around you and think, wow, this is awesome. And look at all the good stuff that's in my life right now. And even if right now you're thinking, Shut the fuck up, Danny. What would you know? If you've got a roof over your head, if you've got air in your lungs, that is a gift. And as long as there's air in your lungs and your heart is beating, there is hope. There's hope to change. There's hope for good things. And there's something to be grateful for. Whether it's that we take a look around and think of the things that we've taken for granted, the food in our fridge, the food in our kids' bellies, the smile on their faces, the smile on our own face. All these incredible things we've got to be grateful for, and to step back and to have a look at life and think, wow. And I tell you one thing, when you start having gratitude for your life, for the people in it, for the abundance that we have, this incredible journey that we're on, things will start to drop. I just see it time and time again. I see it with myself. I see it with people that I work with, the clients, my coaching clients. When you start to have an attitude of gratitude, things change because you start to look at things differently and things start to drop. Like amazing gifts start to drop, and you start to see things as a gift too. So more and more comes your way. So how about this year is creating an amazing year for yourself, an amazing life for yourself. This stuff will get you out of a rut. It's time to change. If you've been feeling like, if 2023, and let's face it, it's been a ball breaker of a year. It's been a rough old year. There's been so much going on politically and across the world. There's been a lot of suffering and sadness, and oh gosh, it's been a big year. So if we want this year to get better, it starts with us. It starts with yourself. So making a plan and really taking the bull by the horns and getting in there and creating a life for yourself that you want, and one that you're proud of, and one that hopefully maybe in a few years' time you won't even recognize. But I'll tell you one thing as well, this stuff takes time. I mean, doing one, I'd say go, stop, pause, write all this stuff down, do this journaling practice, and then I challenge you to do it again the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and just keep that practice up of setting yourself up for the day. And I'm telling you, life will change. You will start to be in control of your life. What an amazing life it can be. So I'm hoping that helps. I'm wishing you all a beautiful 2024. And I just think, go for it. Why not? Why not go for it? And yeah, I'm here. If anyone wants any assistance in this stuff, I'm available for coaching. It's usually booked out a fair way in advance, but make the booking, make the time, let's work together. There's always challenge groups going on. And if you can't get into me, I can get you onto other coaches or counselors that can help, or at least give you some access to perhaps finding something or someone, a group, someone that can help you. So yeah, just wishing you all a beautiful 2024. It's exciting. Get excited about your life and about the possibilities, and stay true to yourself. And I think it's going to be an amazing year ahead. Awesome, guys.